The Cat's Whiskers podcast is proudly sponsored by the Bunkers Hill Hockley. Don't miss Panthers game day offers, including Coors Light at £2.50 a pint.
Good evening and welcome to the pre-advertised Cat's Whiskers podcast. It is a Sunday night. The Panthers have miraculously overturned a deficit and have qualified for the playoff semi-final weekend. We're beyond the quarterfinal. I've started. Well, you know what? Can we just switch off? Go in.
Yeah, we'll edit that out later. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry. It's not live.
We are live.
The tweet came through live.
Cheers, Jono.
Well, I did say we'd possibly have Jono from overseas, so they were
working though. That's the start.
Yeah, that's the start. Anyway, yeah.
So we've been given VIP access to our sponsors, the Bunkers Hill. Thank you very much, Nikki, for providing us access to the upstairs bar. Yeah. I am joined by the First Lady of the Cat's Whiskers, Tina Taylor.
Hiya.
The new daddy of the Cat's Whiskers, Aaron Lord.
Good evening.
I'm not going to call you the grumpy old man anymore, Paul. I am going to call you the senior citizen of the Cat's Whiskers.
Grumpy old man. And I'm supposed to react to that, Can I just point out that you missed the words internet sensation out of Tina's name?
Yes, I could have done. I could have done it. I am Mr. Notts County, Adam Reddish.
Who's he? I only answer to IKEA, man.
Dobby's gone now.
And via the wonders of internet, Jono Bullard, do you have the scores for the French Eurovision score contest?
Nul points.
I don't know if you heard that or not, but Jono is available via phone. So
Yeah, we'll go with it.
we'll go with it. So quite a topsy-turvy weekend, it shall be said. Friday night going in, I don't think many of us thought we were going to be that confident going in. Before I go on to the actual game itself, I'm going to actually go around the table and I'll ask Jono via the wonders of the Apple phone. How were you feeling going into that game, Tina?
Well, we don't do well in Belfast. I went to 2 games in Belfast and we lost both of them. So I had little confidence that it was going to get any better than that. So at the very least, I was pretty confident that we were going to lose the first leg, and it would depend on how heavily we lost the first leg as to how well, how much of a chance we had in the return leg back here.
Okay, Aaron Lord, if you're paying attention. Hello?
He's not.
Pre-match, this is not going on the result, so don't give any spoilers away.
Yep.
How were you feeling?
I liked the fact that we were going to play the second leg at home, and my mentality watching the game on the webcast was no more than 2 goals down. Because I thought, obviously, first leg, we've not really played well against the Giants. I think they were 6-4 in the series. I'm looking around, but nobody's...
It's something.
Yeah, something like that. So I think we lost the series overall.
Yes, we did.
So my mentality was, right, we get out of there, like maximum 2 goals down, and we've got a chance. So, that was my theory.
I'm going to come to Jono next, just to upset Paul. Jono, what were your thoughts going into the game on Friday?
I thought it'd be close, and it turned out that way. I didn't expect the horrendous first period we had, if I'm honest, but I thought it would be close coming into the second leg, and it proved that way, thankfully.
And Paul Balm. Adam Reddish.
Don't you leave.
There goes Paul.
Your thoughts pre-game?
I thought that we needed to not play defensive, which I think is something that I said on the way back from Edinburgh last weekend. Because if we were to sort of park the bus, we would have found ourselves in big bother. And I thought when we went 3-0 down, oh God, we've tried to park the bus and it's all falling to pieces. But thankfully, we got that goal back just before the end of the film.
We're not talking about the game yet. We're talking in pre-game. Paul Balm.
Don't disrupt his flow.
Paul Balm, were you confident?
No.
There we go. So going on to the actual game, yes. So Giants went into a 3-0 lead, and for two of us that were on an all-day pub crawl, Tina, hello. Yeah, we were not enjoying that at all, were we?
I was delighted because it just confirmed that I'd made the right decisions to go out on an all-day pub crawl instead of just go home and watch the webcast.
I think basically Belfast scored 3 goals in the time it took Tina to have a pee. So,
Tim, I think that might be a bit of an overshot.
Aaron, did you watch the webcast on Friday night? It was a damn long PS, Jono. Aaron, did you watch the webcast on Friday? So 3-0 down. Oh dear, it didn't sound good.
No, and it didn't look good, if I'm honest, either. Penalties taken. You think look. What I would say is you have to give credit to the Panthers organisation for going there a day early, because plenty of people in the fan base complain about that fact. So we went a day early to kind of get rid of those sea legs or bus legs, whatever you want to call them. And unfortunately, we didn't really have the best first period. We took some penalties, which Belfast capitalised on, and you're automatically thinking this is not great. It's not the way you want to start the game. You want to kind of ease your way self into the game. But look, in general, you have to pay credit to the Belfast Giants in the sense that they have some very, very good players and some very offensively skilled players. And
Challenge Cup champions.
Challenge Cup champions, yeah, but I don't believe they are playoff final contenders. So
well, they're not now.
No.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, everybody. But yeah, look, it wasn't the greatest, and you are then thinking this is potentially going to be a nightmare. And the thing that kind of got us back into it, which I guess you're going to say, is the goal at the end.
Well, Jono, were you able to watch the webcast at all?
I did watch the webcast, yeah.
And so 3-0 down, we were looking pretty ropey. As Aaron's just mentioned, was that goal key, or do you think it was at that time a little bit sort of too much too late?
That goal was massive. There was two massive goals in that game. There was the Clark goal that Aaron's mentioned 7 seconds before the end of the first, and then the Mark DeLego goal, which was 30 seconds into the second period. They were huge. 3-0, because we could have gone into that first period break 3-0 down if it wasn't for that Clarkey goal. 30 seconds later, we're back within 1, and I think that is probably where the tie started to turn when DeLego scored. We were much better in periods 2 and 3. First period, we were absolutely woeful, and I think anybody watching the webcast has got to admit we were pretty awful that first period. But I mean, I wasn't there tonight, and I don't think we were great in the first period tonight. So 2 poor first periods, but it seems it was 4 excellent periods, and that in the end has got us through. But it was a battling performance. To come from 3 goals down and leave it within 1 was a really good battling performance, and I think a hell of a lot of credit has got to be paid to David Clark as well. He played that game like it was his last game. Got 2 massive goals, and if we do go on to win the playoffs, then I think a lot of the credit has to go to David Clark, and what a way to go out if we manage it.
Cheers, I know. And so Paul and Adam, you didn't watch the webcast. I'm assuming, like myself and Tina, you were sat in a pub somewhere or sat at home and refreshing Twitter constantly. Paul Balm, Were you nervous at all?
You're actually asking me something rather than just jumping to somebody else.
Adam Reddish, were you nervous at all?
Well, I wasn't, because I just felt strangely detached from it all. I didn't have the webcast, so I basically had to, follow the fortunes of the game on Twitter, which is interesting and always an experience to follow the fortunes of the side on Twitter. But no, I felt a little bit. I think I'd said before the game that I wasn't too worried about Belfast. I know that we'd had a sort of bad series against them through the league, but without wanting to sound too cliched, the playoffs are a whole new season, albeit very small and very short. But I just felt that we've seen that this side can compete when they want to compete. We saw it in the Champions Hockey League. We know that they've got it within them to pull out some big performances and play as if every shift was their last shift. And I was not mega confident, but I thought that I had some confidence that work ethic would sort of translate into the game against Belfast away over there. And I was right. I mean, we had a bad start, but obviously the guys dug deep and started to turn the game around. And by the end of the game, I know no defeat's ideal, but I think when you come from 3-0 down to walk away with a 4-3 defeat, that's a pretty good effort. And they weren't out of sight, and that was the main thing, because I'm sure quite a few Panthers fans thought at 3-0 down, we're out of sight here, and that's it. The second leg's going to be a damp squib. It's going to be a non-event. And, what a horrible way to say goodbye to Corey and Dave Clark. So, Dave. Yeah.
Dave! Oh, he's Dave.
First name basis.
Yeah,
first name.
Got a mate called Dave.
Everyone's got it. And my dad's called Dave, so there we go.
My brother-in-law's called Dave as well.
I think someone's trying to join the podcast, but there we go. But no, it was good, actually. We turned it around well. And I think the fact that we only came out of there with a 1-goal deficit has probably meant that going into the second leg, we were the ones that had the momentum and not Belfast.
Interesting.
I mean, that is interesting, actually, Paul, because I was going to come to you and say, going down 3-0, but then coming out 4-3 down. I'm going to ask you, were you confident? I know what your answer is going to be, but genuinely, going into tonight's game, 4-3 down, what were your thoughts?
I don't know, really. I mean, going back to before the game on Friday, Panthers put a tweet out on one of these polls, and it was, are you nervous, are you excited, are you nervous and excited, are you excited and nervous, or something. And I felt like replying, going, so one of you two, where's the we're 3 parts drunk, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. So you said, oh, it was terrible. I didn't think we felt. We were sober and having to put up with it. I felt like replying, where's the resigned to another capitulation. But I mean, I tweeted at the time, from 3-0 down to get to 4-3, I'll take that. And I wasn't necessarily confident or anything. I never am, but I'm not entirely sure they had the momentum. But to segue nicely into tonight's game, because I mean, essentially, you can look at this tie and say that Belfast were 3 goals. Well, they were 3 goals up twice, and well, I won't provide any spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen the game yet. We'll get to that, but they were 3 goals up twice.
Yes, indeed.
Well, going into tonight's game, obviously Panthers training 4-3, and Aaron Lord, I'm going to come for you first to break with the going round the table.
You maverick.
I mean, I was sat in bunkers. I didn't have a ticket to the game, and you are obviously everybody here that had a ticket to the game, except Jono, who's on the phone.
I do that.
Going 2-0 down.
Again.
So, effect with 3-0 down again.
Yes.
Wow. The worst possible start, surely.
100%. I mean, I think
Shirley.
Shirley. I don't know where.
Don't call me Shirley.
I don't know where Shirley is, but I'm sure she's very happy if she's a Panthers fan. No, like Paul just said there, I think the fact that you know, we came back from 3-0 down to take it to 4-3. We did have the momentum. I think, you know, a lot of the I would guess that, you know, most of the Panthers fans were thinking, right, you know, we have the momentum going into tonight, feeling positive, feeling energised, thinking, and, you know, look, those 2 goals absolutely deflated us. Because you're thinking 5 minutes in max, you know, 2-0 down, 3-0 down on aggregate. You know, this is just not the start that we wanted. The crowd was very loud beforehand, very loud, you know, during those first 5 minutes, which is you know, is what I tweeted saying everybody's got to play the part and the crowd needs it and stuff, and they did.
I thought the crowd were excellent tonight.
Yeah, I agree with what Paul just said. You know, the crowd were excellent, and I think, you know, we started well. In the end of the day, we had to, you know, Belfast got a power play within, you know, the first couple of minutes, scored from it near the end, bit of a deflection, you know, a scramble around the net sort of thing. I would even say potentially even offer like a defender's skate. So, you know, it's not like you have to say, oh, well played Belfast, you know, you scored a great goal. It was a bit unlucky. And I think overall, over the 2 ties, we you know, we didn't really get the most of the luck. We didn't really get the bounces, etc., as much as Belfast did it. Second goal, I would say that Galbraith would want that back, because, you know, Rain shoots from the blue line, not a bullet, you know, just a standard kind of shot from the blue line, and it's sort of, I don't know how it trickles in. So, you know, that's, you know, you're a little bit disappointed with that, but
it trickles in, maybe to me, to you.
Yes, Paul. Yeah, that's right, Paul. Yeah, have you got the ladders? But one thing I did think was, do you know what? There's plenty of time. If they're going to score 2 goals, I'd rather them score them in the first 5 minutes than the last 5 minutes. And, you know, luckily they did score that. And
that's profound.
And you know, but it's difficult because it did deflate us, and it deflated the crowd, which Paul will tell you was excellent tonight.
Yeah, the crowd. I think the thing I really want to say about that second goal is that I'm glad in the end it didn't matter, because for so much of the game it was what the game was hanging on, and it was a mistake by Galbraith. 9 times out of 10 he'll just catch that. It just sort of bounced off his glove and went behind him. But I'm really glad that the whole tie didn't hinge on that thing, because Galbraith doesn't deserve that. You know, he put. There was one. I mean, I'm guessing you'll talk about the save from Whistle. But there was one, and that was a great save. But there was a save by Galbraith in the second period where he just stuck his hand out and it just flicked off the edge of his glove and went wide. And that's probably as important. That save was as important as Whistle's save was good. You know, sometimes you can make great saves and they don't matter. Yeah. But it's sometimes you make a save and it's just an important save. A save that will turn the thing. I mean, our Panthers put out, you know, they've been putting out stuff. Beauregard winning those 2 game-winning goals. And last time we played Belfast at this stage, a couple of years ago, where we played 110 minutes of perfect hockey, but we had the 10 minutes that we didn't nearly killed us. And there was this goal scored by Cam Jansen that just turned the game.
Yes.
And maybe that save by Galbraith turned the game. Yeah. Maybe Mosey's short-hander turned the game. Yeah. Maybe Pellini's. Well, I'm not entirely sure how it went in, but it went in, and that's what matters. Yeah. Maybe if, series, especially short, 2-game series like this, 1 games, as we get to the playoffs, turn on moments like that, and maybe that's just what happened here.
Yeah. I mean, giving a bit of context to the game, obviously going into the game a goal behind, going down 2-0, Tina. So we're effectively 3-0 down. To pull it back to an equal score and then going ahead. I mean, how was the atmosphere in the rink at that time? Because, from sat in bunkers as I was refreshing Twitter, the whole place was like on tenterhooks waiting for me to give updates. I mean, it must have been absolutely...
I'll tell you what, well, yeah, I mean, this is, well, you say that, and it's quite funny, really, because, the pub were waiting for you to update from me doing Panthers Hockey Live to, what's going on the ice, and I was actually, I was absolutely fine up until Sauvé scored, and then I got absolutely deflated when we conceded again straight afterwards, and then I was absolutely fine until we got to OT. Absolutely,
I mean, that's just it. I mean, obviously Sauvé putting us ahead.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I mean, what was the atmosphere like? I mean, there was another Twitter account that said, like, Panthers fans think they've won it, even though there was 4.5 minutes left, and then obviously we conceded.
It was the atmosphere. The atmosphere when Pelini scored was it was electric again. It's like Paul talked about the atmosphere and Aaron's talked about it as well. The first 5 minutes of the game, the crowd were up for it. The crowd was so up for it, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant to hear that everybody in the building was really invested in the game. And the two early goals, they killed off the atmosphere completely, and then. I'm just trying to stop Aaron from cutting Jono off. And then the two early goals from Belfast absolutely kill it again. But Pelini levelling things up, and I think there was at least 50% of the arena that understood the significance of Pelini's goal that pulled us level. And also, well, I mean, and the funny thing with that is that I'd been yelling at Adam Keefe because he was yelling at the referees, and I was going, "Don't worry about it. Have you not seen our power play? You'll be fine." And we actually scored the goal before we got to the power play, which I thought was a stunning technique. We've got one of the worst power plays in the league. So let's not get there. If we get a penalty, let's just keep it delayed, and then we'll score with 6 on 5. Anyway, but. The Sauvé goal was hilarious because I saw Sauvé's reaction because he was over at my side of the ice, and he didn't know he'd scored for a good couple of seconds. He had to sort of look around, and when he did, you could just see how much it meant to him, and you could also just see that the rest of the team felt like that was like the overtime winner at the time. The bench were all just had to stop themselves from tumbling onto the ice, and the rest of the guys on the same shift as Sauvé. They were all just, really. It was like a massive release for everybody. So yeah, it was a very, very significant goal. Which again, we were completely deflated when Van der Meer went and pulled it back again 30 seconds later, which, as Panthers from the Vault has pointed out, that 30 seconds was the only time we were ahead in the whole series.
Until the game winner went in. Adam Reddish. I mean, I dread to think how you were feeling as a Panthers fan. I mean, with much maligned... well, yeah. It's much maligned, and then there's been lots of hope, and then there's been lots of depression, and now we're in the playoff final weekend. Can you quite believe it? And do you think we deserved it overall against Belfast?
Ooh, it's difficult to say because I didn't see the first leg.
3-0 down. 3-0 down.
Well, not a true fan, I'm being told by people around the table. And I take the criticism, and I don't care. So, look, I mean, it takes a lot, doesn't it, to come back from 3-0 down in the first leg to make sure that you leave Belfast on not on parity, but almost parity with them. That gives you a good chance to seal the deal in the second leg over here in Nottingham. So you could say that if you take that first 10-12 minutes out of the equation in Belfast, you look at the game over the 5 periods after the first one in Belfast. Yeah, there's an argument to say that we were the better team, and certainly the scores and the goals that we got would stand that to be true. So tonight was great. I thought that you were talking about the crowd earlier when we went 2-0 down, and yeah, it was quite fever pitch before the game started. It was a great crowd. They were really into it, but even at 2-0 down, I still think there was a bit of noise, because it was still early in the game. If it had been a 0-0 game for a long time, and then those 2 goals would have been scored, halfway through the game or towards the end of the second period, I think that would have, sucked the life out of the building and really sort of given us almost a Herculean task to try and get back into the game. But, you know, if you're going to go 2-0 down and, you know, go 3 goals down on aggregate in a game, in a 2-legged tie, do it early in the second leg because it gives you almost the rest of the game to sort it out.
Would you say the arena was full of belief?
Oh dear, that's a sickly question. That's a sickly question.
Move on and give somebody else the proper
Jono, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Jono, as a fellow Panthers fan who has not been at the game, how tense were you going through? I assume you were doing the same as me and going through Twitter and refresh.
No, I wasn't because I was working.
Oh, okay, so
Jono, we've won, Jono.
In fairness, I got chance to have sporadic quick looks when we was on a commercial break in the period breaks, and I think I saw we were 2-0 down, and then I think the next period it was back to 2-2. So I was like,
this is killing
and then when the game finished, we was doing stuff back there, so I didn't actually see anything until we was actually walking back over to the apartment from the arena, and then it was I think. We went ahead, and then 30 seconds later they equalised. So I was watching Twitter back at the apartment intently, and then of course we scored the winner, and I let out a little holler of delight, it has to be said.
It's like we were there. Now we know what happened. It's great.
Thank you, Jono.
I mean, at the end of the day, the Nottingham Panthers will make it all the way to Nottingham for the for the semi-final of the playoff weekend. We will play in the second game of the weekend, and
Can I just say something before you move on?
No.
Yeah.
go on.
It's a Kunagi and Destamata, Kunagi Unosta,
No idea what that means.
which is Estonian for never forgive, never forget.
And there we go. Okay.
Oh, somebody's hard when they're thousands of miles away.
Yeah, you wait till Patrick Smith and Davey McGimpsey and Simon Kitchen see you, Jono, eh? I bet you're not so, big and clever there, are you?
Can I just bring in?
Flights permitting, I should hopefully be there next Sunday night. So we shall see.
Don't worry if not, we'll be here.
Yeah, we're here all weekend. Yeah. So I just want to get this out. We've had a tweet from a friend of the show, Chris Lavelle. He says he's in case anybody's not aware, he's a Belfast Giants fan and who's one of those who's been madly refreshing Twitter all night.
Hi, Chris.
He says absolutely heartbroken tonight. Panthers battled back in both games from deficits. By all accounts, every player on each team gave absolutely everything. Fair play, but it hurts right now. But a proud Giant with a trophy to cherish. But congratulations to Panthers.
I mean, to be fair, guys going around the room and girls, Belfast can't be disappointed by this season. They did win the Challenge Cup. That's broken their trophy drought. They've gone through a long trophy drought, so much so that there was going to be a banner behind Block 4 that had Manchester United style against City. So, fair...
You've done it again.
Why do you need to bring it back to Man United?
Why not? But anyway, moving on. So, going on to the playoff weekend, Panthers will play in the second semi-final, and they will be playing for 2,374 times of the season. Aaron Lord, we are playing the Sheffield Steelers. First of all, obviously there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around about how the leagues set up and everything, and they were guaranteeing that only one of the two of us would make it through. Both of us have made it through. Both of the people can't see me, but I'm doing the hyphenated things, the commas, the big two. And we've both made it through, and we're playing each other in semi-final. Is this going to be a different game, do you think? Is there a different atmosphere around it going into playoff final weekend. Bearing in mind that there's only going to be 3 blocks of Panthers fans, there's only going to be 3 blocks of Steelers fans. So all these neutral fans have got a chance to influence the game, do you think?
3 blocks of Panthers fans, really? Seriously? No, I'm not having that. Yes, it is a different game. It's playoff hockey. Sorry, it's playoff hockey. I think it's a great semi-final. Look, forget about the season so far, Essendon Steelers. Playoff weekend when Panthers are involved is a totally different kettle of fish. Now, if you're telling me that there's 3 blocks of Panthers fans there, I'm telling you're a Manchester City fan. So, I know, yeah.
Paul Balm? The last.
I kind of feel like I'm NATO. I'm sat in between Aaron and Ange. I feel like I'm going to have to break up a fight in a minute.
The last time we played Sheffield in a playoff semi-final, obviously it was, in my opinion, the greatest playoff finals weekend that we've actually seen at the NIC. That fantastic game against Sheffield when Lacko scored in overtime. The goalie who coughed up the rebound, Jono. Do you want to remind us of that?
Can you remember?
That would be the supposed best netminder in the world, TM.
He's doing it again! He's doing it again! Oh, look, I'm in Estonia, I can say what I like.
Who was it, Jono?
It was Mustakos, of course. Who else would it be?
So, Paul, obviously it was a fantastic game. That was a fantastic weekend of hockey, if you're a Panthers fan. I dare to say I'd hope the neutral would agree with that. I mean, what can you see coming into this weekend? I mean, the games against them the last few years have been cagey, pretty dull affairs, to be honest.
This is a world of difference, though, isn't it? This is trophy on the line. It's win or go home. The only thing I really want to say.
Not the winning away.
The only
the away team.
But we'll still get the home dressing room because we get home advantage, and then it's not fair and it's really terrible, and I'm going home and I'm complaining.
But shut up.
Shut up, Brad. Just shut up. The one thing I want to say is, if anybody from the Panthers is listening, please. The only thing I want to do is win that semi-final. I wouldn't care who it was against, because David Clark and Corey Nielsen don't deserve to see their careers in Nottingham or completely or whatever end in a 3rd, 4th. Who cares? Nobody could care less. Game on a Sunday morning.
I don't think we're even going to. I don't think we'll even, vacate Pizza Hut for that, will we? Really?
Well, we don't normally.
No,
we don't.
No, exactly.
If we see the last 5-10 minutes, we're doing well.
Yeah. I would 100% agree with that. Corey Nielsen and David Clark deserve better than ending up in the 3rd, 4th place. Nobody cares, and those who are there are just trying to maximise the value of their playoff ticket, I suppose. I can't remember the last time I attended it. Frankly.
If unfortunately we lose against the Sheffield Steelers in the semi-final, I want Corey Nielsen to bang on his skate one more time, and I guarantee you now he will be top point scorer in that game.
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me. But, I mean, Adam, going on to the other semi-final, I mean, I think I was the only one there at the weekend when this sort of rivalry that started with Fife has started to build because of their fans' sort of outlook on a game and the non-physical aspect of it. I mean, that other semi-final, I mean, would you rather see Cardiff, and if we were to win, and me being forever pessimist, I think it's going to be Sheffield in the final. I mean, if we were to win, would you rather beat the defending league champions Cardiff, or would you rather beat this new sort of rivalry that's come up from Fife?
Tough question. Well,
new.
Hang on. Okay, Paul Balm, would you like to expand on that?
It's not new. First trophy we ever won was against Fife. back in 1980.
Norwich Union Cup.
Yeah, Norwich Union Cup.
Yep.
And we beat them. Sorry, we drew them 7-7 the week before. You know, this is not new. Continue.
Okay, so as far as recent times goes, there has been, it's almost been like a mutual respect because of the age of the respective clubs and what have you. But there is, I get a feeling there's a genuine nastiness between the two teams at the moment. You see it in the social media of the two clubs. You see it with some of the fans' tweets that come out. I mean, are we all hoping for a Panthers Fife final? Or
Well, to be honest, if Fife managed to overcome Cardiff, then they're a damn good hockey club, because Cardiff have got some exceptional players this year. You know, they've won the league relatively easily, and what a great roster they've got. You know, they've got great netminding, great D, and great forwards. So, I mean, if Fife do manage to overcome them next week, fair play to them, because it would have been a hell of a shift that they've put in. And, you know, just hypothesising, and if Fife do manage to overcome Cardiff and we play them in the final, I think it'll be a very, very difficult game for us. You know, Fife would have proven their qualities in overcoming Cardiff. You know, I wrote Fife off after their first leg. You know, losing 4-1 at home to Manchester. I think, you know, 99.9% of fans outside of Fife, and maybe even a few Fife fans actually, would have probably feared the worst. You know, going to Manchester 3 goals down and having to turn it around. But what an effort tonight, you know. And Manchester this season have been a great, great outfit. They've been a really good hockey club. You know, Finity's put together a really good roster. And again, it's showing that Fife can pull out big results when they need to. And, you know, if they get to they are at Nottingham next weekend now, but if they get to the final against us, I ain't taking it for granted. I am not taking that for granted, one iota. Because, you know, Andy Isles, great netminder. He's been out a while injured, but he's come back and he's obviously refreshed now and
doesn't take his helmet off much.
I'm reliably informed by Mr. Paul Balm. But, you know, they've got no sort of standout players as far as I'm concerned. You know, we don't see a lot of Fife, obviously, because we're in a different conference to them. But, you know, if you sort of like look at their roster, none of their guys are what you might call, you know, superstars, or, you know, have that X factor. I'm sure some of the Fife fans that are listening, if there are any Fife fans listening, hello to Kirkcaldy. But, you know, they don't generally, they're not high profile. So it's very much a team effort. That's what I'm saying. It's very much a team effort. There's no one or two players that are carrying that Fife Flyers team. So we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens. I hope we win. And hello, Nikki. Hello, Nikki's just replenished our drinks, but not Ant's. And Ant looks quite disappointed at that. I can't believe I'm giving running commentary on Nikki's movements. But anyway, getting back to the ice hockey.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
If it is Fife Nottingham in the final, there is this rivalry that you was talking about a minute or two ago. I mean, I got to say, it's two very traditional hockey organisations. You know, we're Fife and Nottingham, the two oldest teams in the league. We go back donkey's years, as Paul alluded to, and it'd be, in some ways, it would be like it'd be a heritage playoff final. It'd be heritage playoff final.
Heritage playoff.
Because it would be the two oldest teams in British ice hockey going at it for the playoff trophy.
I mean, talking about, you know, fans in Kirkcaldy, I did see a friend of the show, Random Pesh, and I'm the only one who can say that because Jono can't. He was commenting that Infinity might have choked again this season, but I mean, look, we're there. Who knows what's going to happen?
We're going to win it.
The Lord.
Oh, Aaron returns just at that moment. Yeah,
Aaron's got the beard
I mean,
in.
you know,
That's
who knows?
beard,
But
beard.
we're in the mix. You know, for the first time, we weren't there last year. You know, we're in the mix, and you've got to be in that. You've got to be in it to win it, as Dale Winton says.
Oh, good Lord.
Yes.
I mean, Tina, we'll talk a little bit about the other quarterfinals, and obviously we've already spoiled it for anybody that didn't know the results going into it in the first place.
You'd have to be under a rock to know what the results are.
Obviously, Fife came from a big deficit in that first leg,
Massive,
to come down, and that is huge. And obviously, Cardiff took the lead in Coventry, which I think pretty much everybody round here expected, although they thought it might a little bit tight.
The game tonight.
Coventry definitely made them work for it. No, it wasn't a walkover. This is, on paper you look at that. That's the league winners who won it with 3 weeks to spare, and then you've got the Coventry Blaze who scraped into 8th with 2 days to spare.
That's how the playoffs work.
We're all having a joke about this. Braehead and Coventry were fighting for the right to be spanked by Cardiff. That was pretty much how it was being billed. But it didn't work. It didn't work out like that. It really didn't work out like that. They really did give them a game. Now, the one thing I would say about the sort of the series, if you will, about the games as they stand, one thing that Cardiff are going to have to be very aware of, because obviously they were in the playoff final last year, and what a monumental final that was for the neutral, right? But whatever happens, I know incidents on the ice, were the talking point in that respect. But whatever happens, Cardiff are famous for activating bridesmaid mode. So
well, there we go. So Tina's Cardiff's team talk has been done by Tina Taylor.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time I've done somebody's team talk for them. Right?
Let's Tina, because you're saying stuff like that, and you're in Nottingham, not thousands of miles away, being the odd man.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But with Coventry, the way they played tonight, it's a good job that they have those playoff T-shirts printed, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. No, the thing, as I say, with Cardiff, for years and years, we watched them at playoffs. They would get there and they would never quite, get the trophy. So, you have to. They have to just chuck it out the window, essentially. Because there's always, there's that little niggle, isn't there? It's like us. It's like us with Christmas. It's always there, isn't it? You have to try and chuck it out. I mean, this year our December failed in spectacular fashion. That was a Christmas slump of epic proportions, even by our standards. So Cardiff needs to, they've got to throw the bridesmaid mode out the window, essentially. But it's a very interesting setup.
I think Cardiff, should they make the final, want to avenge what happened with Belfast in the Challenge Cup this year.
And in the playoff final last year. Because,
I'll tell you what.
True, but what I was going to say is they were heavy favourites, Cardiff, for the Challenge Cup this year, and it was played in their own barn in Cardiff, and they lost. So, they probably feel that they want to get it back to a final situation where they use the quality of their roster, which I think their roster is the best in the league. And after winning the league, surely nobody can argue that they've got the best roster, because over 50 plus games, that is to me the barometer for how good the team is. The barometer.
It's a great. I can look. I think everybody understands around this table that I've got a bit of an insight into the Cardiff Devils.
Who's your brother?
Yeah.
Player coach.
Player coach Andrew. Andy, as I like to call him. He likes to call me as
Uncle Andy, as he is now.
Yeah, Uncle Andy. He's still not been to visit.
I used to make the same jokes about Jimmy Bullard.
Is Jono still here?
I think. Hello, Jono. You're still here?
He's ready to be asked a question.
Yeah, exactly.
Aaron's talking. Be quiet.
But no, look. I kind of get what Adam's kind of saying, and what I was going to say, taking the joking aside, I don't think Andrew Lord has the mentality of we are going to let this kind of slide away. You know, like what you were just mentioning about chucking away in the finals and stuff like that. Yeah, Cardiff have had their moment, but, you know, since their new ownership and, you know, Todd Cowman, Andrew Lord, it's a different mentality at that club, totally. I mean, they've won, you know, the Elite League back-to-back. And as Adam says, you know, that is a barometer in this, you know, in the Elite League that we watch. The league is a pinnacle. And they've done it back to back, so you have to credit with that. But I don't think they're going to like come into this weekend and kind of go, well, do you know what? We've won the league and we've sat back and stuff like that. They lost the Challenge Cup on their own ice, which I don't think they'll be very happy about. And
the inside.
And
that's the brotherly love that comes in there.
Yeah, it is. But you know, and they've been taken to, you know, to a place that they probably didn't think they'd be taken to with Coventry Blaze. So I think they'll come into this weekend.
Where did they go?
Thinking
what, Tamworth or somewhere like that?
Tamworth.
Oh, right.
Tamworth. Horrible area, Tamworth.
IKEA was closed, I think. But
don't talk to me about it. I got lost in IKEA last Saturday.
But no, I think they'll go in there with the mentality of they want to win it and stuff like that. And I don't think they'll have the mentality of previous years. So it's you know, if they make it past Five Flyers, you know, it'll be a tough final for whoever makes it out of this or Sheffield. So it'll be a tough final for us.
I think it'll be a tough final. I think it'll be a tough final for anybody. You know, at the end of the day, the way I should. Don't sigh at me. No.
I'm just sighing at the thought of trying to predict these 4 semi-finals. I was going to go to Jono first, but these 2 semi-finals.
Easy.
I was going to go to Jono first, but Paul, you've segued perfectly into that. So.
I don't do predictions. My predictions. I was really confident with my predictions, and 2 of them are wrong already. I think the final will be Cardiff, Sheffield, or Panthers 5, or one of the other ones.
Oh wow, okay.
Jono, from the outside looking in, obviously you're away covering the GB under-18s at the moment. First of all, how's your trip?
Yeah, it's very good. Excellent result tonight for Great Britain against Estonia. Britain are the 5th seeds for this tournament. Estonia, the host, they're the 2nd seeds, and Great Britain coming away with a fantastic 6-3 victory. Where Corey's son, Kate Nielsen, had an excellent game as well.
And obviously, GB women doing well as well, which you know is
a couple of games now. So I think they lost first, but beaten Australia, and I think they beat Korea today. So yeah, it's looking good for GB hockey at the minute.
It very well, but what we're actually talking about is the Elite League.
Let's come back to that. Yeah, let's do that.
I know I did ask you about GB briefly, Jono, but obviously you're not going to be there next weekend. There apparently is going to be
I'll be there to hopefully celebrate on Sunday evening.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're celebrating who, Jono? So this is it. This is your prediction time. Who is going to win each semi-final, and who is going to be Elite League playoff finals winner 2018?
Bearing in mind, you've got to be here on the Sunday for people who you're making all these comments about from miles away. Are going to be able to come up to you and go, nah, you were right. Wrong. All right. Who knows? Go on, Johnny, continue now.
As Panthers hold a 100% record over Sheffield in playoff semi-finals, I will go for Panthers to win that semi-final. Let's be honest, Steelers have had our number all year, but I think there's something different about this.
He's talking to you, Helen. Helen, he's talking to you.
Panthers have done amazingly well to get to the final. They've put in an incredible performance tonight, it seems, to get through. So, yeah, Panthers will win that one. And you know what? I'm going to go for the shock. I think it'll be Panthers v 5 final. I think 5. You know, they've produced an incredible result to get into the final. So they're going to be really confident going in against Cardiff. Cardiff, it seems, you know, in the end, just scraped past Coventry. So yeah, I think a Panthers 5 final, and it's set up beautifully for the ultimate fairy tale for Corey Nielsen and David Clark. So Panthers to win.
that would be, personally, as far as I'm concerned, fantastic. You know, I'm always up for beating Fife. Week in, week out, as far as I'm concerned, as long as, you know, we play a clean game. Tina Taylor, the First Lady, what would you say about, what are your thoughts on this playoff final weekend?
My thoughts are that for as long as I have been a Panthers fan, and for all of the playoff final weekends I have attended whilst being a Panthers fan, my record stands as either Panthers have not made it to finals weekend or they've won it. There has been no middle ground. I have not seen the Panthers lose at playoff finals weekend.
So just based on that, you're going this weekend, so Panthers are going to win. Paul Balm! Thoughts? What are you know, who's going to win the two semi-finals, who's going to be in the final, and who's going to be playing I'm the Less Drunk at dinner time Sunday?
You've already asked me that. I really...
Okay, Adam Reddish. Same question.
How many calls have you had?
Can you repeat the question?
Who's going to
win?
Who owned the Chiefs?
Who owned the Chiefs? Who's going to win? Edinburgh Capitals. They're going to be a surprise outsider. No. I'd absolutely love it if we won, for obvious reasons. You know, sentimental reasons. David Clark leaving. Corey Nielsen's last game as coach for the Panthers. It would be an incredible sort of emotional roller coaster to go out and win it next weekend. We've got to turn in a good performance against Sheffield this year, a really convincing one, because we haven't had that yet this year. Well,
let's
muller them, absolutely. You know, a really good one-sided win
Let's just
against
stop
them.
making Irvin's Mustakovs look good.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, surely by now.
And you've just been blocked by him.
Surely by now.
Life achievement.
Surely by now we know that he's a very bouncy netminder, and he's got very bouncy pads. So,
Does he go in there on a space hopper?
yes, he does.
Jono Bullard, who is Irvin's Mustakovs #1 fan. Jono, have you got anything you want to say about Space Hopper Mustakovs?
No comment.
What do I need to say? I've said in several podcasts what I think of him. I don't need to say it again. I don't rate him. I never have.
Go on, you're in Estonia. Nobody can catch you.
And you're right. It's about time. Tina's right. It's about time we stop making him look so good and put a catful past him.
I mean, Aaron, the other semi-final, obviously, we'll come back to Adam because he's desperate to finish. But the other semi-final, Cardiff against Fife. I mean, can you see an upset? Can you see the Flyers going all the way to the final, or do you think the champs are going to do the double?
I can see it, if I'm honest.
You can see what?
Well, the question that you asked me.
Well, I asked you whether there's going to be an upset or whether you think Cardiff are going to win and go to the final.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I can see Flyers causing an upset, if I'm honest, because I do think they have some very good offensive, players. And Flyers been at playoffs weekend now for a couple of seasons now in the last few years, so they know what they expect. They know, what to kind of expect from the crowd, what it means from the audience, etc. It all depends on the netminders for me in that situation. And obviously at the moment, I think, and I don't know about tonight's game, but Fife have had their backup in net, so that might lean towards Cardiff's favour. But I don't think that's a foregone conclusion, if I'm honest. I think the Fife can turn up. Look.
That's it. Aaron's gone. He's
Excuse
gone
me.
again.
But I don't think anybody will give them a chance. So what have they got to lose? Yeah. What have they got to lose? In that sense, the pressure is on Cardiff. But for me, I'm gonna throw it out there. I think it's going to be a Panthers Fife final with Panthers winning. I've said, and just to throw my piece out there,
Don't throw your piece out there.
Not quite literally.
That's how Imogen arrived.
Exactly. late cat's whiskers, late at night. After hours. Yeah, after hours. It's like Hollyoaks. But no, look, I had a bet with my mate about before the season ended that we will win playoffs, and I stick to that bet. Put it this way: we bet £10 that I said Panthers would win the playoffs. He said no, anybody else. So he had the choice of the other 7 teams that were.
That's a bad bet, Aaron. To be fair, that's a bad bet.
No, but it's confidence in what I believe in this team. So he offered me tonight. He offered me £5 cash out, and I gave him an emoji. Yeah, it was the middle finger emoji. Panthers will win the playoffs.
You're so classy, Aaron. You're so classy.
Adam.
Well, just to return to my bouncy Mustakoffs, I was talking about the springiness of his pants, just to clear up any clarification about what the bounciness actually meant. But we've got to learn how to play Mustakoffs. Jono mentioned it there that we've had more than one season now of seeing Mustakoffs cough up so many rebounds straight up the slot, 3, and we've just got to get guys to understand that there will be opportunities there for that rebound shot. When he's committed and he's outside the goal, and we've got to go for that. And I just think that we've got unfinished business with Sheffield this year. I think we've got unfinished business with them.
Hello, Billy Davis.
Thank you very much. I don't refer to myself as Adam Reddish though, like Billy Davis did.
Billy Davis is really
Adam Reddish thinks that Panthers have got unfinished business against Sheffield Steelers this season. Yeah, there we go. No, but I reckon that we are going to go. We're going to go after Sheffield. We're going to play a committed but disciplined game. We can't go out there and just go gung-ho because Sheffield have got the offence to pick us off if we do that and we leave ourselves open and exposed on the blue line. So we've got to play disciplined, but it won't be a blowout. There's no way it'll be a blowout, not in a playoff semi-final. But I think that we're going to win by 1 or 2 goals in that semi-final against Sheffield. And then the final...
No. Well, I was going to ask you, as we did our goodbyes, what your actual prediction for the final was going to be. So, I don't think we've got anything more that we need to cover from the quarterfinals, other than we will be back, obviously, post-playoff final weekend. I don't know what state we're going to be in. I think there is talk about us doing some podcasts over the weekend and stuff like that, but again... we might have to shove a disclaimer out there to say... but when I say goodbye to you, I'd like to say one team who is going to win the playoff final weekend. And I will start with Mr. Jono Bullard, who has been on the phone for almost an hour now. So we'll let you get off first, Jono. Jono, we know you're not going to be...
Did we call him or did he? Yeah, that's my phone.
We know you're not...
It's my phone and Nicky's Wi-Fi.
So, Jono, we know you're not going to be there, mate. But hopefully we'll see you on the Sunday. Who are going to be the playoff winners for the Elite League in 2018?
Nottingham Panthers.
Thank you. Goodbye, Jono Bullard. Tina Taylor.
I return you to the my record. They've either not made it or won. So I will go with Panthers.
2 for Nottingham Panthers. Aaron Lord.
Oh, it's a tough question you ask, Nottingham Panthers.
3-0 for Panthers. Bloody hell. Balm.
Sheffield or Cardiff.
One of the 2.
Yeah, exactly. One of those 2. Yeah.
Come on, Paul.
Pick one of the 2.
Come on.
Head on the block here, Paul Balm.
Sheffield.
Oh.
Adam Reddish.
Nottingham, it's written in the stars.
Oh, he's singing a bit of Tiny Temper. Personally, I am going to go with the Cardiff Devils. I think it's about time that they took off their bridesmaid's dress and became full on for the win. But anyway, thank you everybody for listening. Obviously, we will be back over the course of the playoff finals weekend. We hope to see as many of you as possible. We will probably be predominantly in and around the Bunkers Hill I know Aaron Lord likes to go somewhere else, but, you know, we're loyal to our sponsors.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Oh, I'd brought my 40th presents up. Thank you, Bex. So, from everybody here at the Cast Whiskers, it's been a fantastic season. Well, it's been okay. We will see you at the playoffs. And guess what? The Panthers are going as well. Way!
This edition of the Cat's Whiskers podcast was brought to you by the Bunkers Hill Hockley.